The old turbofire-powered Gen 1 Chevy small block is being disassembled so it can be removed to make way for the new Gen 3 alloy small block. The original parts are all kept in a safe place so that the owner Cam can still revert the car back to standard if need be.
That's what you get for using shifters, Ian.
Mate, it's a Gen 1 small block. That's all they're good for. These engines have done nothing. Nothing, I tells you.
How does it feel having someone else do the work, Al?
Good when it's dealing with slimy ass old bloody Chevy engines.
Dirty old. If it's not leaking oil, is it actually a Chevy small block? No.
It's never been filled.
What's your thoughts, Az?
Good.
With all the necessary items removed off the engine from the top, the car is raised up on the hoist so the exhaust, tail shaft and torque converter bolts can be removed. The Nova is lowered back down on the ground and the crane wheeled in to lift out the engine.
We got stuck into it last night and pulled out the old Gen 1 small block. As you can see, it's a filthy old engine that's been in there for a long time with a bit of red painted over the top of it. Pretty similar though. There's good reason for that, I guess. That's a small block and so is this. And there's one generation in between these two and probably about 300 million different variations of those engines. But they're pretty similar in architecture, and that's not by mistake. That's how GM rolls. They design an engine that can do the job in nearly all their vehicles, and then make variations of it. And that makes good business sense, and also makes it easy for us to pick and choose the bits we want to make our cars better. So we're going to chuck that in the corner and just hang on to it for a bit until make sure we don't need to steal anything off it, and start fitting this one in.
The Nova was originally fitted with a power glide, but sometime in its life has been exchanged with the Turbo 350, which was a very popular swap in its day. Before the new Gen 3 small block is to be fitted, the Turbo 350 is going to be removed to clean off the schmutz and also to fit a new torque converter.
This thing's dirtier than that video of Az and the glass top coffee table.
Schmutz.
Al is flicking through the parts catalogue and compiling a list of things needed before the engine goes back in. Meanwhile, Az is draining the fuel tank by removing a roofing screw that someone has previously added to stop a fuel leak.
Nice repair.
Beauty of having a common American vehicle is that you can buy crazy stuff like a brand new fuel tank for a 65 Nova that also has accommodation for EFI fuel pump, surge tank, the whole works all built into it, all brand new. This came from Tanks Inc., which I've never heard of, but we know now. It's got a little fuel sender unit there with a Walbro pump on it, heaps big enough for our application. It's pretty nicely made, so this just pops in there. Like so. Screw it down. Original sender or a replacement sender's there. All works. It's pretty cool. Wish we could get stuff like that for 1968 Toyota Crowns.
The valve cover adapters which were supplied by Tough Mounts are a great way to transform the look of the Gen 3 small block. These allow the Gen 1 covers to be bolted on to keep it looking like it's still standard. The engine is masked with some tape so Al and Ian can give it a coat of paint in the all-American flavour of Chevy orange.
We've blasted her out with some Chevy orange and it's all dry now. So we're going to strap it onto the crane and we'll bolt her up to the gearbox and put the whole lot back in as one now. Seeing as we've got the gearbox out, it's probably going to be a bit more practical. We're just bolting on the Tough Mounts adapter brackets so we can then run small block old school Chevy mounts on it. So they basically just move the mount forward towards the front of the engine where the early small block Chev were. So it's got multiple bolt holes there for other purposes. So you can move them around depending on what sort of car you're putting them in. Sometimes the hot rods require the mounts to be in different spots, so they give you a few different locations. But I think we'll probably have them forward. But we will see.
Al fits a new rear main seal, followed by the flex plate and torque converter adapter collar, which allows the Gen 3 small block to be bolted up to the Turbo 350. Az then fills the new torque converter with fresh automatic transmission fluid and is also measuring the distance from the bell housing to the standard torque converter before it's removed. This is essential to do to ensure that when the new converter is fitted, that it's seated correctly on the oil pump drive gear. Once the old converter is out, it's given a spray with some schmutz remover and the input shaft seal is then replaced. It's all systems go at the SKID factory. The gearbox is on and the torque converter bolts tightened to spec. The engine is then raised up on the crane, ready to be lowered down into the bay. Things seem to be going well, but unfortunately, the engine just doesn't want to cooperate. It's pushed, pulled, raised and lowered, but the Gen 3 small block just won't bolt up.
Last night we swung the engine in and it comprehensively didn't want to go in there at all, which is awesome. We ended up undoing a bunch of stuff and dropping out the front crossmember bit there to let the sump go in. Then transmission fluid went everywhere, which is standard. Then we still couldn't get the engine mounts to go on, so we swore a lot and did the usual stuff that you do at night when you're trying to get something to fit and it won't. Then we gave up and had some lemon squash, and I went inside and watched some videos and stuff, see if I could find out why this wouldn't fit, and came up with the conclusion that it should fit and we've done it wrong. So had a bit of a sleep, decided that this is an old car and nothing fitted when it was new, so it probably won't fit even worse now. So the only thing you do then is get a big drill out and drill the holes out to twice their size and make everything move around. So we've done that, just open up these holes. These have got a tube through the middle of them, a crush tube, so you can't open them up too much, but it was actually 3 or 4 mil difference between the crush tube size, so I've hogged everything out. So they're the horns that fit on the chassis that go up to the engine mounts. So we'll just put everything in loose and make every bolt go in and then tighten it all up once it's together. Old car life is what it is. Some new ones.
Oh, you want to actually do this safely?
No, not really.
Semi-legit.
It was only a washer, so I figured we could swing it.
This is the washer.
It's within budget.
Is it working, Al?
It is.
Yeah?
Rule number 1, if it doesn't fit, drill out the holes to twice the size they're supposed to be and then put some washers on it. You heard it here.
Installed. Cam, come get your Nova.
Push it out. Done.
Are you finished now?
We're done. That's it.
Yeet.
Engine's in. Put it on Instagram, hashtag LS1Nova.
Just wait, I'll just chuck that thing on the top that makes it look like it goes and then we can get it out of here.
Hang on, I thought you said it was a Gen 3 alloy small block, not an LS1.
Well, no, but LS1 gets you more views on Instagram, bro.
Oh, I see.
LSX, but it has to be small. The X.
No, it's capital L, lowercase x, and then you like
It's two L's.
LLSX.
You said LLX.
We could make a new.
Not sure that he is the professional he claims to be.
I am an imposter. As sent me here to.
Rip off that moustache. Oh God, it's Groucho Marx.
I don't want to get away with it. It worked for you damn kids. What happens now?
Instagram photos out the door.
No, really, what are we doing?
Doing up the other engine mount bolts. Don't get ahead of yourself, will you?
Why do you make such a mess, Al?
That's not. That's just normal. That's what it leaks every night, because turbo 350.
It's not actually a leak. That's not a leak. Anyone who's got a Chevy knows it's just sweating horsepower. It's normal.
Where's Az this morning, Al?
He had to go to a Bratwurst convention, and then he had some online tuning to do on a Messerschmitt. This is the trans mount that was on it. It's like a pretty generic GM sort of shaped thing. So is this. That's off a Trimatic Australian thing. Also fits this and other transmissions. You can see there's a pretty big height difference there. I don't know whether that's caved in from being 400 years old or whether it's specific to this Nova or this had a power glide in it originally, whether it's for a power glide, but I'm not waiting 6 months to buy this. So we're just going to use this mount and adjust our heights and stuff and just chop up the cross member, which has already been gas axed up by someone for unknown reasons. So we'll just go with that theme and make it fit. It's a lot easier than trying to figure out why things that should fit don't fit. We'll just chop it up and make it fit ourselves, and then we know it works.
Ian, doesn't this affect the value of the car?
Normally it would, but that trans cross member's been butchered. There's been some interesting, work to fit the shifter for this gearbox. The engine, the ears that the actual engine mounts to, from what we could see, there's something funky going on there. Either they've been swapped left or right, or they're from a different ear model. Because it should fit, but it don't fit, which is the good thing about old cars. It's like you're never bored with an old car.
That don't fit.
We've been through this, it's old. You can see where it's been cut up to make the 350 box fit with, I don't know, a file or something. Bit of gas axe action here because something.
Someone's used their teeth.
It's great. Gnawed by a pit bull for clearance. So because our commonly available mount is a lot thicker, we're just modifying the cross member to suit it. Just basically cut out it had a small platform there for the mount to sit on. I've just cut that out and just cut the front of it off here. I'm going to just plate all that in and then drill through for the mount. The mount still actually sits on the cross member. That'll be the bolt holes there, but we'll just reinforce it with another piece of plate, fill in that hole, and then just put a couple of plates across here to give it some twist strength back. Gearbox cross member doesn't really do much, like as far as torsional things go. It just stops the gearbox falling onto the road, which is a good thing, I guess.
What colour paint are you painting it?
SDI blue.
Nice.
Is there a topical cream?
Shout out to Timmy. It's SDI black.
Why not Chevy black?
Okay, yeah, it's Chevy black. You were right. Because we've had to move the engine forward back to where it's supposed to be, the tail shaft is short. It doesn't look like the greatest tail shaft in the world anyway. The welds are a bit cold and that sort of thing, so we'll just put it on the bill and get a new one made. Let's work on old cars.
Why you wear gloves, bro?
The only problem is you can't wash your eyes out.
You know what's good for washing your eyes out, Al? Lemon squash.
Really?
Yeah. Is it just me, or have we got a lot more work done with that as here?
He's busy tuning Messerschmitts. Leave him alone, bro.
Do you know how to tune a Messerschmitt?
I got no idea what a Messerschmitt is.
Do you know how to tune a Messerschmitt with just data on the internet?
Nope.
No.
The secret's in the cop chip.
Question, Alan.
Well,
Why is that not Chevy orange?
because you didn't paint it.
It's a Holden part, mate.
It's actually a Mitsubishi starter motor.
Really?
So is the alternator. That's why they're reliable.
So we're going to paint them Evo yellow?
Is there such a thing?
What colour's an Evo?
I don't know.
It's going to mean that Cam's going to take up vaping.
You like
No,
Evo,
that's
don't you,
Subaru
Mark?
blue.
I don't know, it's all Japanese junk with the cams are on top. Silly. Camshafts.
Way too many.
What do you need two camshafts
Over
for?
cammed. You don't need two, you just need one with big lobes.
You just need a ghost cam.
Ghost cam, yeah.
What have you lost?
A nut.
Where is it, Anne?
Mexico. It's just going to have some daiquiris.
That's just as much enthusiasm I've got for high five at this time of night over a stinking Chevy.
Come on, dude. You guys.